Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, artists, everybody across the world of crypto and blockchain, all around the world. And today, I have a guest coming to me from all around the world, from the other side of the world. I'm in the U.S. and she's in Australia. And I welcome Ali Hare, who is the founder of LilyPad. Ali, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jamil. Yes, we live in the future here in Australia. So if you need to know any lotto numbers or quick tips or where the crypto market's going, we've got you covered.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding, just kidding. No, thank you. It's great to be here, Jamil. Really exciting times for us as well. We've just actually, and you'll be the first to hear this, Jamil, we've just today launched our incentivized testnet as well. So really good timing to be jumping on a podcast to chat about it with you.
Awesome. I'm going to boost you up a couple spots and get this out sooner than expected then. So thank you for I'm going to ask you first, and my, who just joined us was my dog. She just joined us.
What sort of dog?
I have a mini Bernie Doodle.
Oh, that's so cute. I just recently bought a Great Dane, actually. So she's still a puppy, but she is like as big as a Labrador already, 5 months old. But she's a lovely dog.
Awesome. So let me ask you first then, what's your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Yeah. Look, I think so. I think no life journey is a straight path in general. And I think you kind of accumulate skills from a spectrum of different places that you can, utilize in your future roles as well. And it sometimes just comes together that way. So my background, I actually ran a cafe in my 20s, so nothing to do with technology. I like to joke a little bit that I did it the wrong way around as well. You're supposed to have the tech startup first and then you retire to a cafe, but I did the cafe first. And I actually then retrained into mechatronics engineering and computer science after I sold that. So I still think that a lot of the skills that I learned just running a business in general are coming in handy for me, not just now, but came in handy over the past, 15 years or so as well. So when I was at uni doing mechatronics engineering and computer science, I founded a startup there with another friend of mine. We went through an accelerator. We had folks interested in funding us. Unfortunately, my business partner wasn't interested in taking outside funding, and I wasn't interested in bootstrapping for the next 3 years. So we decided to call it quits there. And I moved into the corporate world, really. So I started work at Accenture. I was actually working on a niche project there, an AI ops project that was deployed to a lot of the Fortune 500s in Australia. And so learned a lot of skills, both coding and consulting with clients there, that helped me kind of lay the groundwork for my tech career anyway. And then moved into a R&D project with the University of Sydney Physics Lab. They do some really, really interesting nanoscience there. And we were working with the Defence Force on some sensor technology. So some really cool ML powered actually sensor technology there. So IoT and ML combination. And shout out to the engineers and researchers there. They are just really, really big brains. I love working with those kind of people as well. And I then got poached by IBM actually. So I was working across a full spectrum of blockchain, AI, cloud, all the usual suspects, DevOps, I would say a pre-sales engineer a little bit there. So helping our clients integrate the technology. And as part of that, this is where I really came across Hyperledger and blockchain as well. And that's when I fell down the crypto rabbit hole. So I was a little bit later than probably some of the people you have on your podcast, but I maybe came at it from a little bit of a different direction. So fell down that Hyperledger rabbit hole, started watching some videos there. We even did a meetup, and then came into the public blockchain space. And, I was just really impressed by the innovation and the values that I saw there, really. That was what really grabbed my attention. Of course, I did some speculating as well, but the main thing that grabbed my attention was definitely just that, the kind of technology that people were building and the reasons they were building it, and just that it was such a close-knit, innovative community. So I started applying for jobs, and it was interesting because IBM had just acquired Red Hat, and one of the narratives that IBM was going with at the time was, cloud anyway. You should own your own data. You should be able to move it anywhere. This kind of narrative. And it was really interesting because Red Hat OpenShift can kind of achieve that. I mean, I'm sure it's getting better and better. But IBM missed the cloud race, so this was their only play, really. And then I was looking at Protocol Labs and Filecoin and interviewing with them, and it was just a kind of natural fit. I'm like, you're trying to own your own data and distribute it everywhere, but these guys are building it from the ground up. They're building it decentralized first, not just trying to kind of put a square peg on a round hole and charge a fortune for it. So yeah, I was lucky enough to accept a role with Filecoin, and I worked there for the last 2 years. And one of the things I did initially was lead the DX strategy for FVM. So the Filecoin virtual machine launched in, I think it was March last year, but I was working on it for almost a year before that, and putting a team and strategy together for our kind of go-to-market developer experience. Once we kind of launched, I moved over then to this project called Bakuyao, which I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but Bakuyao is a peer-to-peer compute project. It was founded at Protocol Labs, and the guy that ran that, David Aronchik, who's one of our advisors on Lilypad still. He was the founder the lead on Kubernetes back in the day. So he knows a lot about his distributed compute systems and obviously has been very impactful. So he was building Bakuyao as a kind of better version of what he'd previously built, and a more decentralized version. And he has his own enterprise arm of Bakuyao called Expanso too. Just a quick shout out for that team there. So he's still founding and running this, still building Bakuyao out as well. And we use Bakuyao under the hood, but sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit there. So, the first thing I did, I'm coming from this smart contract world, coming from this place where we've got all this storage and data in Filecoin, and now we want to make it useful, right? So compute was just this obvious answer. And one of the first things I did was, I made something silly, right? I made an AI generated NFT. And this was really early in the kind of AI/crypto phase. So this blog article kind of went a little bit viral at the time, which is really cool. I'm like, oh, people are interested in this. People want to do this. So this was kind of a catalyst for us building out this bridge, I think you'd call it, or relayer between smart contracts and being able to use compute on the Bakuyao public network. Bakuyao, though, was really not designed to be an incentive compute layer. So, it just had some volunteers with some, hardware on the system not getting paid for doing that, just playing around with it. So very unreliable, right? And this is where we sort of went, well, clearly compute is an infrastructure need for an open web. So let's build this out. And we're lucky enough to get some backing from Protocol Labs to initially start this project. And built out the initial kind of version of Lilypad that added some incentives and thought through some of how it would provide trust in a permissionless compute system. Because if anyone can supply a GPU to the network or hardware to the network, how do you know that if you want to run a job on a network, so rather than just rent out a GPU, if you want to run a compute job on this network, how do you know that this random GPU that could be in Australia, for all you know, is going to actually run the job that you asked for and not just kind of send back anything in order to get rewards? So part of the difficulty with permissionless systems, as you know, I think it's a no-brainer that a distributed compute system should exist, like both from a cost perspective, a redundancy perspective, a reliability perspective, like practical and ethical reasons. But one of the main challenges is how do you implement this verification well? So sorry, I feel like I've got on forever, Jamil. So I'll just pause there and give you a chance to ask me questions.
Yeah, I'm absorbing what you said. You said a lot, and we have a lot to talk
Yeah,
about. That's great.
yeah, absolutely. Once I
So
get on a roll, I'm like, yep, let's go.
Lily Pad's trying to fix the compute issues with AI.
Yeah. So absolutely, yeah, valid point. So our main focus here is on creating a distributed compute network that can run really large scale compute. So not just kind of run a little bit of serverless code, but run anything that you can containerize, basically. So that means AI inference jobs like STXL or video, text to video, text to voice. I've seen some, really cool. Have you seen the AI is moving at such a rapid pace? It's absolutely insane. But I saw someone creating an opera out of AI the other day. It was just amazing. So all of these jobs require compute, and because it's been just such an explosion, access to compute has actually been kind of limited. I think that this is a true narrative when you see like rappers and things going, hey, I sold my GPU today. And it's like, you know what a GPU is? Or whatever it is. So, I think or you've got people like Elon Musk talking about, how the shortage is, worse than drugs or something. He had some weird quote about it anyway. Elon. Let's not start on that topic.
No, it's not. So
Yeah.
it's interesting because I went to Consensus 2024, right?
Yeah.
I was a spectator in the panels on AI, and no one who's investing in AI had a good grasp of what's going on in the industry. They're all like all of them. But there are current capacity issues, and I'm thinking that your project addresses the capacity issues. So what are those capacity issues, and how do you solve them?
Yeah, definitely one of the issues is capacity. And look, from a purely, I have an engineering background, so from a purely engineering perspective, or we can solve this over time. Engineering and economics, really, we can solve this over time. NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, they'll all start releasing more and more chips. They would have scaled up performance. So this is probably a temporary capacity issue. Um, you know, it could run for quite a while though. So definitely giving access to folks that want to play around with AI and want to develop solutions with AI is a core part of our mission. So we definitely want to democratize access to that high capacity compute. And it is an issue. So I think, folks would have seen, even if you're not really into this, if you just use ChatGPT, you would have seen it go down. That's a capacity issue, right? Generally. You would have seen a lot in the news about, these bottlenecks around AI because of not enough compute. So this is one thing that we're trying to solve. We actually have looked at the crypto industry, and like we're not the only ones. And a lot of people run their own servers here, run their own hardware, and especially coming from Filecoin, which was, probably the largest DeepIn, can't say DeepIn network, the largest DeepIn around. It's these GPUs or access to hardware, there are a lot of people out there with hardware. And the other thesis is our hardware as a personal consumer is also getting better and better. Like if you look at the specs on the Mac V4, I'm a Mac user, so the Mac V4, that's going to be able to run like really high powered AI jobs. So our chips are getting better and better. So why not enable folks to contribute to a network like this, a peer-to-peer network, which in general is cheaper. So it's like Airbnb is probably not a good example these days. But once upon a time, it disrupted the industry and made prices cheaper because it was peer-to-peer. And in a similar manner that we can do, or distributed networks like a LilyPad can do that as well. So we can help solve the capacity issue by just making it more efficient. So I like to say it's not really a capacity issue so much as a kind of lack of a good way to connect the current capacity as well. That's not very elegantly put, but it's more of a connection issue than a capacity issue. I'd say there's a lot of GPUs out there in the world that aren't getting fully utilized, and they could be.
You don't need to be elegant. No one needs to be elegant. Direct and honest. That works well. So thank you.
Thanks, Jamil.
Yeah. And the next answer, if you answer honestly, it'd probably be the U.S. government. But this is my question: what are the forces at play that could disrupt the rapid evolution of AI and hamper its growth trajectory? Besides the U.S.
Besides the US. No, look, I think that's it's not just the US government either. I think this is a bit of a delicate subject as well, but I think if you look around in general, we're at a place in history and in society where it's really important that we build systems that don't allow exploitation. I think if we look back at the last 100 years of how we have grown, we've kind of moved off the path of where those ideals started. And we need systems which we can develop in technology, and which is one of the reasons that I was so attracted to the crypto and Web3 space in the first place. We have this technology that we can codify these rules into and make it fairer. Now, I think this applies really importantly to, this was one of the original missions of Filecoin, right? To make sure data is accessible, to make sure folks have sovereignty. And now I think it's really, really important to do with AI as well. Open source AI, we can't have corporations owning the AI breakthroughs. We can't have governments owning AI breakthroughs. This should be owned by the people, and the direction we want to take with it should also be something that the people have, the power to help direct, so to speak. We should be deciding if the rails of ChatGPT, for example, are okay or not. Or perhaps there's different communities that decide different parts of those rails are applicable to them and want to run that way. And this is what a distributed system can do. You can say, as a hardware provider, that these are my values and I only want to run jobs that match those values. So that's what I'll do. And then you have these natural kind of villages that spring up around that and developments. But going back to the overall picture of AI development, and I think this is something that another one of my advisors really elegantly explains as well. His name's Peter Wang. He's the founder and CEO of Anaconda. If you get a chance, check out his videos around community AI. Because he just has a way of taking you on this journey that really uh, slaps you in the face basically of, hey, the AI is super powerful and we all need to have a say in how AI works. We all need to be able to access the code to check the security of it. We all need to be able to access the code, to do things, to decide which way we want to go with it. And apart from that as well, as individuals, we often have subject matter expertise that big corporations don't. For example, someone on our team, our head of research, actually, Stanley Bishop, is involved really heavily in rare disease research. And he is looking at systems like LilyPad to solve some of these rare disease problems and to enable universities to cooperate and collaborate with their data without keeping it private, but enabling models to be made together so you can really accelerate the speed to a solution for some of these problems. And that's true of even small things in society as well. So if you are only have access to closed AI models, then people can't do that. We can't accelerate these solutions. And this is what technology is for. Technology is a tool to help bring our society to a better place, in my opinion. And one of the reasons I went into it. And if we look back, like things like the printing press, things like the IBM computer, these things have really, things like, washing machines, these things have fundamentally changed how we set up as a society. Can't imagine going through COVID without the internet, for example. What will we have done? This is what technology does. It fundamentally changes how our society operates. So it's really important, if you care about that, to be a part of, pushing forward the parts of it that you want to see exist. And that's what we're here for. So that was a bit of a wild answer, but hopefully it took you on a little bit of a journey of what we believe in there.
I love the journey. I'm really especially intrigued now of the treatment of the rare diseases.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have to get Stan on your podcast and have a whole conversation with him about that. He's amazing.
I would love to.
Sure.
So my next question is going to be this, but I do want to come back to the rare disease later.
Oh.
There are growing compute demands, right?
Mhm.
There's growing by leaps and bounds. There seems to be more. I mean, to me, it seems to be more bots and algorithms than people, right?
Yeah.
That's growing. How can we keep up with the exponential velocity and growth with that seem to be like the boundless?
Um, I'm not sure I can answer that actually. I'm not sure in what respect did you want to keep up with it, I suppose. Like as a human being, until I become a robot, I think I can't keep up with it. But sorry, maybe you can refine in what respect do you mean keep up with?
The compute demands. There's going to be boundless compute demands, and
Oh yeah,
I
really.
know the ability for us to work on the hardware and software is gonna be less than the demands. So how do you
Yeah, look, I think it's the same. To be honest, I'm going to answer the same way as I run my startup. You've just got to be ruthlessly prioritizing what it is that you want to use these things for. Look, and I think the other way to keep up with some of this exponential growth is with systems like us, is with distributed compute, is by crowdsourcing from the community. We can do a much better job if we're efficiently coordinating and we have far more access and far more power to provide if we have a layer that can coordinate what is already available. So I think that is definitely one way that we can help mitigate access and availability of some of this capacity and the exponential demand for it. So that's why one of the reasons we're here also, not just because of the fundamental things that I believe in technology and the way forward, but also this is a really practical way to provide an answer to some really practical problems that are cropping up.
Yeah, I I think so. So
Love that. Thank you.
you're welcome. Um, I want to know your thoughts on the future intersection of AI and crypto because I've talked to a lot of people, and every single person I talk to has a different perspective. So I'd love to learn yours.
Yeah, 100%. We asked this question. We were recently at ETH Global Hackathon in Sydney. I'm from Australia, and it was really great timing that we happened to have launched LilyPad and been able to participate in the first Australian hackathon by ETH Global. I was just really thrilled to be there. We asked this question of many people there, had quite a few conversations there as well. And yeah, how long is a piece of string? But, yeah, the intersection of AI and crypto, there's just so many different parts of it. There's underlying this how do we build a decentralized technology stack that supports decentralized AI? So we are hoping to do that, part of that mission anyway, by providing a decentralized compute stack that can run AI. And we don't just run AI, we can run other computers. Just AI is a big topic at the moment, and definitely for a good reason. So we are focused on it. Um, but so part of that is this distributed compute system, but then we're going to need distributed storage systems for the data. We're going to need privacy for the data. We're going to need to enable verification for that data, provenance for that data. There's also, we're working on a fun use case at the moment with Textile Basin, who do file object storage via Filecoin, so decentralized object storage they've started building with Basin. And we're working on a use case at the moment where we've kind of hit the limit of the synthetic data that we can build in order to give models more potency, more power, more ability to solve problems. So generating synthetic data has become a problem as well, and it's something that distributed crypto networks can help solve. Which is really interesting, right? It's like a snake eating its own tail a little bit there, but I think it's become a really interesting problem. And then so this is like kind of the fundamental stack of building out an open infrastructure that supports this decentralized AI ability. And then on the flip side, there's things that blockchain brings to AI that AI is going to need. Like AI also has its own problems. Like, how do you know if that video you just watched was real or a deep fake? How do you know this podcast wasn't generated by ChatGPT? I'm happy to hold up a piece of paper or something at this point. No. How do you know? And these are problems cropping up for anyone that has some sort of brand associated with them as well, and makes their money that way. So celebrities obviously come to mind initially. But it's going to become a bigger and bigger problem. We can't trust that that article that just came out was from our elected official, or the votes in an election. How if we can't provide that provenance, something that blockchain does inherently well, then we're in a lot of trouble with AI as well. So I think the intersection of blockchain and AI is just really critical, and why we're seeing so much focus and so many events pop up around it. It's not just a buzzword, but I think there's some critical work that crypto can provide to AI. And one of those ways is in making AI more open and more distributed, more able to be accessed by people, more able to be audited by people. And the other way is probably, proof of humanhood and proof of provenance. So lots of ways that crypto and AI are intersecting here. Hopefully that answers your question. It's a bit of a meander there.
It answers it beautifully. Thank you. I'm just wondering, there's so much data. There's so much thing that could be like for the people you mentioned before, rare diseases. For the people who do have they're trying to obtain the data, right?
Yeah.
How do you know? How can you tell which data is accurate, which data is real, which data is fake? And what are the measures in place to help people understand more about their rare diseases?
A really interesting question. I think with the rare disease research, what's currently happening is there's a bunch of silos. So there's research happening in silos, aren't able to share their data, so aren't able to collaboratively work on a bigger piece of this system. More than that, there's fake data coming in there. It's more about there's no collaboration able to happen despite all these folks that are really passionate about solving the problem. So things like being able to generate models from integrating the data from all of these places without revealing the data is something that we can just about do now, which is super powerful because we have research coming in from, places all around the world and focused on solving a specific problem. Then you can just imagine like how much more powerful and how much quicker we can get to some conclusions or answers based on having access to a model that integrates all of the data without revealing that data, without giving away any IP that might be associated with the funding for that data and that type of thing. So I think in terms of the rare disease one, especially, this is where we're at, and it's super powerful to be able to do things like that. I am going to have to send Stan Bishop, our head of research, to talk to you about that one, though. He's definitely more of an expert than me.
I like it. So you're saying that the silos, we're going to be close to a breakthrough soon to break down silos so that disparate organizations can share information collaboratively.
Yes, exactly. Without breaking the rules of the data sovereignty, for example, they can keep sovereignty of their data, they can keep privacy of their data, but still share it for the greater good.
I'm looking forward to that. So,
me too, right? That's
amazing. Yeah. So, I have a couple of last questions, and one goes back to your background, right? Sure. I got this right. You have an engineering background, then you worked in a cafe, and then you went to Accenture. So how did these work?
I started in a cafe, actually. I came out of, I actually started in an arts degree. So straight out of school, I went and did an arts degree, as you do. I actually studied philosophy and politics and those sort of things. So I think, that's actually a really great background to critical thinking in general as well. And then it sounds silly, but I accidentally fell into owning a cafe. And I ended up running that for about 8 years on the beautiful coastline of Australia, up mid-north coast of Australia here. And then sold that, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Really, I took a bit of a detour by owning that cafe. I've always been quite academic, so I went back to university and retrained. Absolutely loved working on engineering problems and scientific problems. Loved talking about ideas. So university was a really a fun experience for me, and I think due to having being a bit mature age and having run my own business as well, I was quite entrepreneurial while I was there. I was leading other initiatives at uni at the same time as studying as well. And then, I went into the corporate world for a while. And here we are launching Lilypad, which I feel like, if I look back at that past, is kind of a culmination of all of those aspects. So, the social science degree, definitely useful in crypto for thinking about, anthology and how people interact and behavior. The leadership experience from my cafe, completely different field, of course, but definitely gave me a lot of understanding into what helps motivate people and how you build things well. And then, moving into my academic background and then the corporate technology world, kind of had these layers of experience that hopefully will stand me in good stead for getting LilyPad up and running. And I have a fantastic team that we built. So shout out to them that have expertise across the whole range of AI and crypto as well. So AI and ML researchers, cryptographers, tokenomics experts, game theory experts, and then of course, our wonderful engineering team, our marketing team. We have expertise from across a broad spectrum of places because this is really a multifaceted project. Hopefully, together with this amazing team, we'll be able to launch something really, really impactful here.
Sounds wonderful. I love it. So I have a liberal arts degree background, so I can relate. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. And I have one last question. I know you launched your testnet or your incentive for testnet. Congratulations. But how can people find out more information, about you? About how can they do that?
And thank you for being a wonderful host, Jamil. So if they want to find out more information, our Discord is probably the best place to interact with us. That's at lilypad.team/Discord. You will get an invite and you can discuss anything you like with us there. And the other way is straight to our docs or blog. So lilypad.tech is our URL, and you'll be able to find links to all of the different the blogs, the tutorials, the docs, anything you'd like to do there. And if you do want to start participating in incentivized testnet, so obviously that means that rewards, you can accumulate rewards before we launch to mainnet, which we're aiming for the Q4 of this year. We'll launch a token as well. So if people want to contribute in the meantime and earn rewards for doing so, the first step is obviously onboarding GPU providers, but there'll also be a lot of different tasks for folks that don't have hardware or that are non-technical, but believe in this mission and want to contribute. So check that out at lilypad.tech/IncentiveNet, because I'm Australian and we like to shorten everything.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Appreciate it, Jamil. Have a lovely day.